What's up, guys? Thank you for coming back for another video. So today we're going to learn how to install a new LG compressor. Obviously, if we're installing this one, is because something is going on with the cooling. So basically, first things first, what I like to do is just take off the dryer while the compressor is running. That way it can push everything out. It's what we call a vacuum. Basically, it's gonna vacuum itself out, push all the freon that it has inside of it out. That way we don't, actually have to stick our vacuum in, and just let it basically run for about a minute or two, and it should get to empty pretty quickly. Right there you see me taking off the clips. They're just basically the mounting clips to the compressor so it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, it's not like it would, but that's just so it don't move as much. Right there you see me cleaning the aluminum side of the filter dryer. That's just when it comes to soldering the copper to the aluminum or vice versa. We have to put this little liquid called flux, and it'll be a better mesh when it's time to actually mesh it together and we don't have any sort of leaks. So right there you see me taking off the ground, the actual connector to the compressor, which is the overload and relay. And at this point, I should be getting, to the point of disconnecting it and just not having power run through it. Right there, you still see me breaking off a little bit of copper tubing, but right there, you see me just turn it off. And then I'll take off the connector. Excuse me. It was just basically the overload and relay, the on and off switch for your LG compressor, which they all kind of work the same, really, in a sense. So just be sure that whatever it is that you're doing, like I always tell you guys, just take a picture of it. Be sure you have a point of reference just in case you get lost. For anybody that's new to this, just take your time and just don't make that many mistakes, because keep in mind, you're always going to be in somebody else's house and you don't want to mess something up egregiously. If you do a slight misstep, that's fine. Just be sure to pick up after yourself. So right now it's time to get the torches fired up and go to work. So right there, all you see me doing is just heating the copper tubing to the point where when you see where they're actually connected, once you see them get like very liquidy, you can start pulling on the copper tubing and it'll just slide right out. Don't put it too much, because then you start making holes on the actual lines that you need to solder, and that's another deal that you don't want to mess with, because if you do, it's a little bit complicated to patch up holes. So what I do, I just bend those tubes up, because keep in mind, these compressors have oil in them, and obviously if they're upside down or any sort of way, oil is going to spill everywhere. So I usually wear gloves, make sure that the tubes are basically bent up, so it doesn't spill oil everywhere and that causes a huge mess. So right now you see me getting the new compressor, and again, same thing with the condenser, which is that line that I'm sanding down. I'm just getting rid of all the impurities, aka all the dirt and grime, just so it'll be a better stick when it comes time to actually solder on top of it. And I'm doing the same thing to where it's going to be connected. So obviously this job didn't take me like 12 minutes to complete. I sped it up because it was going to be 25 minutes long. And you guys can slow it down or pause it at any point, just so you can kind of get the gist of it. But right there you just see me mount it back up with a new one, and reconnect all the lines that I'm going to have to solder eventually. Start getting all my positioning right and prepping everything to basically start the process of soldering. So here's a little tip: when it comes to soldering, don't get scared. It's all about flame control and gravity. If you put your stick on the very top of the joint that you're going to solder, and you start meshing it with your torch, just let gravity do everything. Once you start seeing all that thing melt, just go back and forth, and it'll literally fall from the very top all the way to the bottom. And just do that 1 to 2 times, and then your whole joint will basically end up getting soldered all the way around. Don't panic. That's what I'm saying. If you feel like it's not going through, don't just keep putting more and more. No, kind of control it. Just when you're putting your solder stick on it, you can control it. You know, if a piece of it falls on top of your joint and you pull away your solder stick, you can start, you know, messing with that little piece that is on the actual joint, and you can start manipulating it, either going left to right, or you want it to actually, you know, dry up and solder everything completely. But yeah, it's really that simple. But if you guys really want to practice, what you can do is just take that old compressor, get a piece of copper tubing, and just start practicing. It's really simple. To me, this came a bit easier than most because I actually came from welding for like a year or two, so it was just basically the same concept, just really on a more baby scale. Not so many factors or angles that, you know, I would really have to worry about. But yeah, as you can see, I soldered all 3 joints. Now there is a thing called flux, like I mentioned earlier, that goes on the, if you don't know what aluminum is, then that just goes on the tubing that is literally the different color than copper. That's for it to basically have a better way to mix it in with the copper where it actually closes the joint. It helps it. Without that, you can still kind of do it, but you run the risk of leaving, you know, holes, and then that's where you have a leak. What we call a leak when something is not soldered completely. So it's the same thing with the filter dryer. Now keep in mind, the filter dryer is made out of a form of copper, but it's very, very thin. So you cannot have your torch on it for a very long time because you will blow a hole through it. So it's best if you just go back and forth, and like I said, you'll start seeing when you need to put in your solder stick. Like as soon as they start changing colors and it looks like it's kind of getting like it's melting, just, you know, go ahead and put in your stick and then just control it from there. And these are the dryer really should be the easiest one to actually basically solder and put together. But yeah, it's just all about taking your time. Just be sure that however you're doing things, just, you know, take your time. You don't have to rush. Just be sure that you're doing things correctly. And right there you see me going back on the access valve because I didn't really like how it came out. I kind of could tell that it needed some more at the bottom. But look, all I did was I heated it up a little bit and added just a little bit more of the stick, and then I just let gravity control everything else. And it's also good to have like a wet rag because you are gonna have to come in contact with these joints that you just soldered, and you know, you don't want to wait until they cool down. So now you see me putting back the overload and relay. Try to always be sure to, however you took out the part that you're installing, whenever you put on the new one, try to make it look like you never took it off in the first place. Basically leave it how it's supposed to be mounted. You know, if your screws go in a certain place, the type of screw that goes in there, try to always leave it as you took it apart, because when you don't, that's where you run into problems like, oh, this is not fitting here, oh, it's not sitting the way that it's supposed to. Just, you know, backtrack. And also that it's the same thing I always tell you guys, it's just better to take a picture or even a small video just to be sure how things are before you start taking them apart. So now you see me connecting my gauges to the access valve, and the filter dryer has its own little valve, but you want to leave that out because, like I said, even if you vacuumed it at the very beginning, it's still always a good idea to run another little vacuum, let it blow out anything that it still might have in there. And the purpose is for you to attach your gauges to the lower side, that's what it's called, on the access valve on that side. It's just to basically gauge if there's any sort of pressure still running through the compressor. If your thing goes all the way past 0 in the negatives, then you're good. The thing is empty and you're ready to charge it up. So once you start getting that, then you're good to go. You're gonna put your valve back on the dryer itself. Now here is the thing where I am gonna recommend you guys to do. Usually I do carry a scale to calculate exactly how much I'm going to pump into a refrigerator, the amount that it needs with the Freon. But I've done this for so long, I can kind of already gauge how much I need to put in by the readings that the gauges give me. But for you guys, it's better for you guys to get a scale where you're actually able to mark the exact amount that you're going to put inside the refrigerator. And the amount that it needs, it's always located on the tag, and it's always 9 times out of 10 it's always going to be in ounces. And most scales can't convert into ounces, so just be sure to the way that the scale works is that you're going to put your tank on top. It's going to calculate how much it weighs, and it's just simple math. Just subtract however much it needs to be pumped and subtract it from the total that you have of the weight. Right there you see me pumping in the new Freon, and as soon as I start seeing my gauges go up and down, I'm like, hey man, everything's all gravy. But like I said, I've done this for so long, I can kind of start just pumping in a little bit and then closing it, and seeing where my gauges land. I know exactly where to stop or keep going. Now keep in mind, there are some refrigerators that you have to read your gauges a little bit different, but that's a conversation for another day. This is just basically showing you how to install this compressor. So after you pump the Freon in, usually let the customers know, just don't start stacking up any of your food until the following next day, just to be sure that it is going to get to temperature and your food will be safe. We don't want you to put in food and we might have left a leak somewhere and it's not cooling the way that it should, and then you lose your food and everybody ends up not happy. But that's usually protocol, just to be sure that the customer covers themselves, and so do we. Now everything's all good here. Really, I'm just kind of doing a little bit overkill by showing you the rest of this, but it's just good practice. Once you feel like your condenser's heating up, then you're going the right direction, because it's just temperature change running through the compressor, through all that pressure that it's starting to accumulate and push into the refrigerator. But as always, guys, I really appreciate you guys taking your time out of your day to watch these videos. Just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. I would really appreciate it. If there's any appliance you guys want me to show you how to work on, please let me know and I'll find a way to do it. But I'm only here to help, because appliance repair is very expensive if you don't have insurance. So if this can save you a quick buck doing it yourself, hey man, by all means, I'm here to help. Appreciate you guys. See you in the next one. Peace.